So what happens to your trust after you die? Stick around because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly why setting up a trust could be one of the smartest decisions you'll ever make. And I'm going to start with a deeply personal story about my own mother and how having a trust in place made one of the most difficult times in my life a little easier, so you'll know what to do if you're a trust beneficiary or what to tell your heirs to do after your passing. I am the business guy, the CEO of the Lawyers Limited law firm and Asset Protection Planners, the nation's largest asset protection firm. Let's go ahead and start with something personal. My mother passed away on Christmas Day, 2023, and losing her was one of the hardest experiences of my life. But believe it or not, the fact that she had a trust in place made the aftermath much less painful. As the owner of a trust formation law firm, years before her passing, I set up a living trust for her, and it was one of the best decisions we ever made. And without the trust, my sister and I would have been faced with a nightmare of probate, hiring lawyers, going to court, and paying tons of money in legal fees. So here's what most people don't realize. If you don't have a trust, your estate goes through probate. Even if you have a will, probate is still required. Now, it's slow, expensive, and it's a process of hiring lawyers and going before a judge who must approve everything before you get anything. A will alone does not protect you from probate. Now, with a trust, the assets go straight to your heirs, which in most cases are your kids. And unfortunately, before her death, my mother developed dementia, bills were going unpaid, utility companies were threatening to shut off her water and electricity, and she had no clue what was happening. Now, I live in Florida, and she was in Oregon, so I hired a caregiver and paid out of my own pocket to make sure that she was taken care of. And then she had a stroke and ended up in the hospital. And because we had a trust in place, we were able to arrange for a nursing home to take care of her after discharge. The trust gave my sister and me the legal authority to make medical decisions, access her bank accounts, to make sure that her bills were paid, and to cover the nursing home bills. And eventually, it became very clear that she would never be well enough to leave the nursing home. And my sister and I arranged for an estate sale. We fixed up her house and listed it for sale. Now, 6 months into the nursing home stay and 3 days before the house was set to close, my mother passed away. But here's the key. We didn't have to go to court to sell her house, pay her bills, or make medical decisions. Everything was already set up in her trust. So by having all of these things in writing and signed and notarized by her when she was cognizant, saved us an incredible amount of time, money, and stress. So what exactly is a trust? A trust is a legal arrangement, a legal document, where one party, the grantor or settlor, same thing, transfers assets to a trustee to manage for the benefit of the beneficiary. So think of it like a safety deposit box, but for everything that you own: real estate, bank accounts, investments, all protected under one structure. Now, there are three components of a trust. The grantor, as we said, and that's the person who has the trust created and places the assets into it. So that's typically the person who calls our firm to have us set up the trust. And there's the trustee, and that's the person or institution responsible for managing the trust. The beneficiary, and that's the person who benefits from the trust assets. Now, trusts serve multiple purposes depending on how it's drafted. Number one, asset protection, shielding your wealth from lawsuits, creditors, and probate. Now, keep in mind that not all trusts provide asset protection. Just like there are different kinds of vehicles, race cars are designed for driving really quickly around a racetrack. And then there are dump trucks that can haul giant loads of gravel. Now, living trusts provide little to no asset protection, and asset protection trusts provide asset protection. That's what our firm specializes in, asset protection trusts. Next is estate planning, ensuring a smooth transfer of assets to your heirs without going through the probate process. And finally, tax benefits. Potential reductions in estate and income taxes can be accomplished by trust. For example, let's say you have a trust with an AB provision. One of the spouses dies. The AB provision means that half of the assets go into the A trust, the other half go into the B trust, so that a married couple can leave twice the amount to their heirs tax-free. Okay, now the big question, what do you do when somebody dies? Now, if you already have a trust in place, the first step after death is locating the trust document. Now, this is a big deal. This document outlines the trust terms and the roles of everyone involved. The bank's going to want to see it. The medical people are going to want to see it. The real estate agent and the title company are going to want to see it. So where should you look? First of all, check their safe deposit box. Contact their attorney or financial advisor and look in their home office files. If you can't find the trust document, don't panic. An experienced attorney may be able to help you reconstruct the trust or search for digital records. Now, when I created the trust for my mother, she got a photocopy and I kept the original. After all, as I told her, she wouldn't be around to use it when she died, so it only made sense that I would keep the original document. So really pay attention here. It is best that you clearly tell your heirs where your trust is located. It should be in a fireproof safe so it doesn't get stolen or destroyed in a house fire. Just ask the people in the Pacific Palisades where entire neighborhoods were destroyed by fire. Next, you need to identify your role in the trust. Are you a trustee, a beneficiary, or both? When my mother lost her mental capacity, we got a doctor to give us a written letter that she was unable to care for herself, which made me the trustee of the trust. Now, here are the trustee responsibilities. You want to manage and protect trust assets. Distribute income and principal according to the trust terms. File tax returns and keep detailed records. So I had to file my mom's tax returns both before and after she died. I had to provide information to her CPA and my CPA, and this went on for a couple of years. In fact, it was my job to make sure that the proper tax forms were filed and that the taxes got paid. The IRS will come after the heirs if this doesn't happen, so make sure you get this done. You can't bury your head in the sand on this one. Okay, now, here are the beneficiary rights. Right to receive distributions as outlined in the trust. Right to request an accounting of the trust assets. Right to challenge the trustee misconduct depending on how the trust is written. And as trustee, you're responsible for informing the beneficiaries of the trust. So be as transparent as possible. So let's say you become the trustee of your parents' trust. You really need to flick off the selfish switch and operate the trust and distribute the assets without only your best interest in mind. Instead, focus on the best interest of all beneficiaries precisely under the terms of the trust. You're responsible, so make sure you do things right and legally. Okay, so once the grantor passes away, typically the trust becomes irrevocable, non-changeable, and there are several crucial steps to take. First of all, notify relevant parties. Inform the banks, investment firms, and government agencies. You especially need to contact the Social Security Administration, and you do this by calling them at 1-800-772-1213. Now, scammers look for estates and prey on people's passing, so reporting this prevents potential identity theft using the deceased person's Social Security number. So it allows eligible surviving family members to apply for survivor benefits. Stops any further Social Security payments to the deceased. Now, continuing to collect the Social Security checks of a deceased person is a serious crime with penalties of up to 10 years in federal prison, fines up to $250,000, plus being responsible for repaying the funds that were misused. Next, you want to gather documents. Get the death certificate, the trust document, and you can consult professionals. Work with an estate attorney and a tax advisor to navigate through the process smoothly. So where do you get a death certificate? That can usually be acquired through the funeral home. They can usually help you acquire that, or you can contact the state directly. Okay, now comes the actual administration of the trust. Asset inventory. Identify and value trust assets, real estate, bank accounts, investments, and personal property. That's why when you form a trust, you want to clearly identify the property that's in the trust. So let's say you have a house in Wisconsin, Minnesota, New York, Florida. Well, first you want to title the property in the name of the trust, but then you should clearly list the address of each property so your heirs will know where to look, because you won't be around to tell them where it is. Distribution. You want to follow the trust's instructions for distributing assets to beneficiaries. A properly drafted trust gives you the ability to sell real estate, access bank accounts, investment accounts, and distribute the proceeds as the trust directs. Okay, now I want you to really pay attention because this is huge. I mean, huge. Make sure when you set up a trust that you title the asset in the name of the trust as we're just referring to. So make sure that the bank accounts, the real estate, the stock market portfolio is held in the name of the trust. If the assets are not in the trust name, the trust is simply a worthless stack of paper. And you do this by going to the bank and actually changing the title to the accounts into the trust name. You have to file a deed to transfer real estate into this trust name. So don't sweat it. Just bring the trust and the bank will know exactly what to do. They do this all the time. And when we create living trust documents, we ask you to list the real estate and we create deeds for each property as part of the process. All you have to do is record those deeds in the county recorder's office in the county where the property is located. Okay, now let's talk about tax implications. Typically, living trusts are flow-through. They do not increase or decrease taxes. They just flow through and you report all of your taxes on your personal tax returns if you're the settlor of the trust. So understanding the potential tax liabilities, including estate and income taxes, are very, very important. There are some trusts called complex trusts, which are taxed separately from the individuals associated with it. In fact, what I did is I hired my mom's CPA and my CPA to come together and calculate the taxes and file the proper forms. If you don't handle these steps properly, you could face legal trouble. And that's why it's crucial to work with professionals who understand the process. Okay, now let me share how we take the asset protection to the next level. At the Lawyers Limited Law Firm, we specialize in asset protection to protect assets from lawsuits. And we have a lot more information on our website, assetprotectionplanners.com, our affiliated brand. Now, we can go two ways. A U.S. trust, such as a trust in South Dakota, and these are decent trusts. We've also seen U.S. trusts penetrated by U.S. judges. The stronger one, an international trust. And the one that offers the most protection, that's in the most trustworthy jurisdiction, the Cook Islands Trust. Now, the Cook Islands is south of Hawaii, and it is the gold standard for protecting your wealth. Now, here's how it works. With Cook Islands Trust, we create an offshore trust, naturally in the Cook Islands, and as part of New Zealand, it's one of the most trusted, safest jurisdictions in the world. LLC inside the trust. We place a Cook Islands limited liability company inside the trust. So the trust owns 100% of a Cook Islands LLC, and we put the bank account in the LLC name. And we do this because you're the initial manager of the trust and the signatory on the bank account, meaning you control the assets. Next is the licensed trustee. If you face a lawsuit, our licensed bonded trustee company law firm can step in as LLC manager and protect your assets. So when the U.S. courts say, give me the money, our offshore trustee law firm can say, sorry, you didn't have jurisdiction here, and your money stays protected. And we've been working with the trustees in the Cook Islands for about 30 years. We have tremendous relationships, and we've set up literally thousands of these trusts. So why is it so powerful? Because U.S. courts, as we said, have no jurisdiction in the Cook Islands. Even if somebody wins a lawsuit against you in the U.S., they can't touch the assets in your Cook Islands trust. And I say U.S., but I mean other countries as well. Many of our clients are in the U.S., but we also have clients throughout the world. Our Cook Islands trusts also include estate planning provisions, so your children, for example, can become the beneficiaries when you pass away. And as I said, our firm has set up more Cook Islands trusts than anybody in the world. So the bottom line is, if my mother hadn't had a trust, we would have spent months, maybe years, battling through probate, paying legal fees, and waiting for judges to make decisions and stressing over her estate. Instead, everything was smooth, everything was straightforward. And if you're watching this thinking, you know, I'll get to this someday, don't wait. Life is unpredictable. Protect your family, your assets, and your legacy. So if you found this video helpful, please click the like button. You want to have somebody you subscribe to on YouTube that helps you make money, and also somebody that can help you protect your money. And I hope we're the channel that does that. So subscribe to my channel and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any future videos on protecting what matters most. And if you're ready to set up your own trust, visit us at assetprotectionplanners.com. You get a lot more free information there. Fill out a free consultation form. I've been doing this for 34 years. We'll make sure that you and your family are protected. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.